Is Naruto actually popular in Japan? Now, as a man who lived through the 1,000-year Sennengoroshi trend when I was in 3rd grade in Japan, I wanted to explain how popular Naruto was and still is in Japan. So today, Nakamas, let's go through 3 major reasons on how and why Naruto is loved by Japanese people. So when I was a kid in Japan, every time a Naruto episode came out, it became a trend. Now you might be thinking like the Renegade was a trend, the Floss was, the WAP was a trend, but Sennengoroshi? That's a real trend right there. And the thing about Sennengoroshi was that there was already a trend or an activity called kancho. And it's when you put your finger like this and you can kind of guess what you do. But obviously instead of saying kancho, you would say Sennengoroshi, 1,000 years of death. However, I would advise you to not do that to Japanese people if you go to Japan, because it was a kid's game and I don't want you to go to jail. Unless you're Kakashi Sensei, which you're not, don't do it. Other jutsu that was also popular was like the Kage Bunshi no Jutsu, shadow clone jutsu. Kage means shadow, Bunshi means clone or part of you, and jutsu means technique or spell. And the no part is like a particle for possessiveness. Kind of think of like an apostrophe S, so it's technically shadow clones jutsu, but you know, nobody really cares that much. Another one, Chidori, Chi meaning 1,000. It's a different way of saying 1,000 because Sen is obviously 1,000, but Chi could also mean 1,000. And Dori means bird, so 1,000 birds. Chidori. Rasengan was obviously just as popular. And I remember screaming Rasengan and Chidori with some of my few closest friends. And I would say Rasengan and Chidori is a way more easier to express than Kagebunshi no Jutsu. Like, what are you gonna do? Make fake clones? Or Sharingan, which, what are you gonna act like there's a genjutsu and you're trapped in it? So Rasengan Chidori, you could just act it out, and basically we just punched each other in the stomach, which was kind of fun. So that's how popular it was in the youth, especially personally how popular it was. But I would assume a lot of shogakuse or elementary school students did the same. Now let's get into some hard statistics on how popular it is in Japan. In Japan, it's the 5th most sold manga with almost 2 billion copies sold. Now you might be saying, what's in front of Naruto? What could possibly beat Naruto? Number 4 is actually Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball's been, you know, it's one of the classic OGs. You gotta give it to them. Number 3, you might have not known. You should though, because it's the definition of a classic. It's Doraemon. It's a little robot. That's a mouse robot that helps a kid named Nobita. Number 2, Gorugo 13, which I actually have never watched, but I'm pretty sure it's an action manga. Number 1, the longest still running, One Piece. One Piece takes the crown in number 1 with almost 4 billion copies sold. Now let's go through Naruto character popularity rankings. I found this in the blog and I'll put it in the description, but let's go through who Japanese people think are the most popular or the coolest. Number 10 is Rock Lee, the classic dropping the weight kind of guy. You know, his hard work pays off. Rock Lee. Or Rokuri. Number 9 is Deidara. I thought it was kind of creepy when you could make stuff out of his hand, but some people like that. Some people like how that looks. Number 8, surprisingly, it's Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke is number 8. Unfortunately, you might have been a little surprised. I want you to know that Uchiha, the one ha, the last hiragana, is actually a particle that could be pronounced both as ha and wa. And uchi wa is a fan, like a little fan that you could do that. So that's why his emblem is a fan. It's a little play on words. Number 7 is Gaara. I know he had a little bit of a sadder transformation as he got older, but you know, he was scary and he became Naruto's friend, Gaara. 6 is Minato sensei, the 4th Yondaime. But he didn't have a lot of screen time, but how much they talked about how great he was probably made him pretty popular. And when he was in it, it was pretty cool. Number 5, Jiraiya, the OG. No spoilers, I hope it's not spoilers, but when he died, I cried. I think you cried too, but I cried. Number 4, it might be surprising to some of you, but it's Shikamaru. You know, brains pay off sometimes. I still remember the shadow clone he did on the tuning exam. It's pretty cool. Number 3, finally protagonist Naruto. Naruto's number 3. He's higher than Sasuke, so congratulations. So I think you have a clue on who 2 or 1 could be, but I'll give it to you right now. 2 is Hatake Kakashi Sensei, and number 1 is Uchiha Itachi. Some of you might disagree with all that popularity ranking, and I would say right now Sakura was 11, you know. it's alright. I don't want to see any comments saying she was useless because she did things. Finally, I want to explain why it's so popular in Japan. I would have to say it's because of the origins in Japanese culture. Because first of all, ninjas did actually exist in Japan. And so Japan, in most of its Japanese history, had a feudal system. So people couldn't go up or down the ranks mostly. Samurais are pretty high and all that. But ninjas were kind of working outside of the feudal systems. They were kind of like mostly spies. So because they had tremendous power but not part of the feudal system, there were a lot of mysteries surrounding them, physically and literally. So that naturally drew some interest in what exactly Naruto is, and because it was mystery around them, you could kind of put some like mythological or like jutsu kind of witchcraft in a Western way feeling into it. Like they didn't know much about ninjas, so you could kind of make stuff up a little bit more loosely from the little bit that the history provided us with. Second of all, in Naruto, a lot of jutsu and even the storyline is based off of a Japanese religion called Shinto. Quick rundown: Susanoo, Amaterasu, Izanagi, Izanami, even Tsukuyomi are all actually a big family or Shinto gods in Japan. Basically, Izanagi and Izanami are mother and father. Susanoo is their son, and he is the god of the sea and the ocean and the storm. Amaterasu is the god of the sun, is the eldest, and Amaterasu technically is the highest god in Shintoism. And Tsukuyomi is the god of the moon. If you want to really get into how related Naruto and Shintoism is, there's a book called Kojiki, which explains Shintoism pretty well, and a lot of stories behind that is very similar to the arcs or storylines of Naruto. Third of all, it's not necessarily Japan, but the idea of friendship, courage, and doing what you say you will do is probably well liked in Japanese culture. And if you remember, I think Jiraiya explained that ninjas come from the word shinobu, which is the first kanji in ninja. And shinobu means to bear or take on responsibility or pain for the sake of the other people, yourself, or your dreams. And that kind of philosophy does tend to be similar to the Japanese way of thinking, where it does tend to be more stoic, as in you kind of have to bear the pain, but for a good reason. So that is seen as a courageous element, and I think a lot of people, even outside of Japan, could relate to bearing on responsibility and moving forward. And also personally, I think because Japan tends to have some rigid structure, the fact that Naruto was an outcast but still held strong and proved to himself and to others that he is someone who is worthy of being acknowledged and that he's a pretty cool guy, is something that could be easily relatable to a lot of people. And that's why I liked it, and that's probably why you liked it. Sometimes they treat you like an outcast, but you know what? You don't change yourself, except for to become better a little bit. Leave a like and comment why you specifically like Naruto in every video every Wednesday and Sunday. Peace.